How is it going, everyone? And with the impending state of play, I think it would be pretty good to already put one of the bigger requests of the last, I don't even know how many years at this point. 5 years since the PlayStation 5 has been out, I guess. One of the bigger requests to rest. It looks like Bloodborne will not be getting remastered, as Jeff Grubb has given us a bit of an update on the work on potentially Bloodborne. And the update is that nothing's happening. So we'll talk about that. Team Reptile, something's happening with them as they're revealing their new game in Hyperfunk. If you don't know Team Reptile, they did Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which a lot of comparisons drawn to Jet Set Radio with that game, and now they have a brand new game in Hyperfunk. Looks awesome, we'll talk that, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, while that game has kind of fallen off a cliff in terms of interest. You guys remember that game's only a year old. Back when it was coming out in October of last year, man, it was a juggernaut of a release. And a year after release, you know, for any game, obviously the interest is going to wane a little bit, but you know, the interest has really waned with that game. But it will be getting some new content. The Daima Character Pack 2 will be launching on September the 24th, and some major characters added as a part of that. So we'll talk that at the end of this video. Jeff Grubb, put it bluntly, checked in on it relatively recently in regards to Bloodborne, and kind of continue to hear nothing is happening with Bloodborne, so don't expect that. So, man, I feel like this is something we have to put to bed at this point, and I am sure at some point they'll come together, and if it's something that From Software has to work with Sony on, if Miyazaki wants to be involved directly with the Bloodborne upgrade, I'm sure it'll happen. There's a lot of money to be made, and whenever there's an obscene amount of money to be made off of something, especially when you're talking about, you know, From Software and PlayStation, I imagine it will happen. Now, you could say that, oh, there's an obscene amount of money to be made off of Half-Life 3. Do you think that's gonna happen? Yes, I do, because life is very long, and at some point, I do think these things are gonna happen. Whether it be next year, or whether it be 20 years from now, I do think all of these things will ultimately happen when there's an absurd amount of money to be made. And Bloodborne is a game that a disgusting amount of money can be made. What I really expected was this was gonna be the year that Bloodborne Remastered would be announced, because it is the 10-year mark since Bloodborne initially came out. I know that's wild to think about, but Bloodborne came out in 2015. I thought, if we don't see it in 2025, just put it to bed. We're not gonna see it for a very long time, or it'll just happen out of nowhere. But this year made all the sense in the world to me, especially with PlayStation having such a lackluster output recently. Why not juice up your repertoire as far as games coming out with something like a Bloodborne Remaster? You can put it on PC as well, sell millions upon millions of copies. Just made all the sense in the world to me. Again, I'm sure at some point it will happen. These things eventually all happen. Like, even on the Nintendo side of things, people begging for Star Fox to come back and F-Zero to come. I'm sure at some point these things will all happen. However, with Bloodborne, I just thought, if it's not this year, just put it to bed for now, and it'll happen at some point, but it might not be for a very, very long time, because I thought this year made all the sense in the world. But it is what it is as far as Bloodborne is concerned. At least bench it for now, and maybe it'll be a PlayStation 6 title. I will say this, a Bloodborne upgraded release as a PlayStation 6 launch title would be a pretty big coup for them, and would be something that sells a lot of people on it. But it's like, dude, you don't need the PS6 for Bloodborne Remastered. Like, people just want 60 frames per second. I think people would be just happy with a uncapped frame rate. A straight port to PC, uncap the frame rate on PS5, much like what they did with, like, the Assassin's Creed games, like the Origins and Odysseys of the world, and Syndicate even. It's not like they upgraded those games for PS5, but they uncapped the frame rate, and people will be happy with that on Bloodborne, because Bloodborne is a game that, man, love Bloodborne. It's my favorite From Software Souls-like game of all time. Might be my favorite Souls-like game of all time, now that I actually think about it. But that game's performance isn't the best. And going back and playing that in 2025, I don't think is ideal. And especially for the people that love Souls-like games. Like, that's one genre I think people just want 60 frames per second out of. But there you go with that. As far as a new announcement, don't expect that anytime soon. Alright, moving on from that, Team Reptile has announced a brand new game. Extreme Trick and Graffiti game Hyperfunk has been announced for consoles and PC. 2 seconds per second of evolved funk style. Now, if you're not familiar with Team Reptile, they did put out Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which is a game that, you know, I had some fun with. I wasn't like blown away by it, but I definitely thought the vibes of the game were great. The art style was great. Soundtrack, I wasn't crazy about it. I know some people love the soundtrack in that game, and music is always going to be a little bit subjective. I wasn't crazy about the soundtrack in that game, but Hyperfunk is 2 seconds per second of evolved funk-style battle rival crews hang out online, explore the city, do some crazy tricks, and blast through the streets. Hyperfunk is an extreme trick and graffiti game from a bright future. Society is shaped by the effects of the hyper. The online space's various graffiti crews compete in reality with style and ideology of how to interpret this new world. Use your skate, skateboard, or BMX to do tricks that fuel your personal boost pack. The higher your combo score, the faster you can boost up to ridiculous speeds. Dynamic style wars. Crews can take over areas and compete with others on their own. Challenge other crews to a graffiti battle where you'll compete in real time on who can bomb the streets best, escape police, and claim the area. Strategically use 4 different types of graffiti to go over your opponent's tags, throwies, pieces, blockbusters, move freely around this city to grow your crew, find music tracks, and unlock the other move styles, meet random online players in the hyper, or hang out online with your friends in the streets. A release date is not confirmed, that they only noted it's coming to consoles and PC via Steam. I believe the Steam page is already up, but they didn't specify which consoles, but makes sense that it'll be on the PS5. Lastly, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero DLC Daima Character Pack 2 will be launching on September the 24th. This is a pretty big one for Sparking Zero, as it will be including Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Mini and Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Daima, the Mini Goku character, as well as Goku Daima Super Saiyan 4, and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta from Daima, Majin Buu, Third Eye Goma, and Giant Goma will be all added as well. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is the big one here, and that is a major addition that pretty much made Daima worthwhile. I watched a little bit of Daima, and I thought it was terrible, but you know what? If you enjoyed it, more power to you. I will say the Goku power-up scene was insane. It was insane and it was epic, but the show itself I wasn't that crazy about. But you know what? More Dragon Ball content's a good thing, but I just was not a big fan. And the majority of people that I've talked to, look, and I talked to some hardcore Dragon Ball fans, they did not enjoy Dragon Ball Daima. But you know what? If you enjoyed it, again, more power to you. Sparking Zero is a game that, man, had so much buzz and interest going into its release last year. And I think it's one of those games that reminds people that, yes, nostalgia is great. Feeding off nostalgia to hype up a game, great, but nostalgia has a very, very short shelf life. And ultimately, it comes down to the game to be a sustainable experience. And they made their money. They've made absolutely absurd amounts of money off Sparking Zero. Good for them on that. But as far as the sustainability of the game, I just don't think the interest level has been there. Now, it is coming to Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, it'll be on the original Nintendo Switch, which is just insane to think about. But nevertheless, it's available now on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. I still think the game's quite good. I enjoyed the single-player content out of it. I know there are a lot of criticisms around the balancing of the game when it initially dropped, but you know, I'm not going into Sparking Zero and Tenkaichi 4 for like completely balanced gameplay and the competitive scene of the game. Like, I don't really care about that. It's a fun game to play every now and again as an arcade fighter, and I had a good time with it. And even though it's fell off quite a lot, I still think it's a fun time to go back and play. But that is going to do it for me. Again, as far as a Bloodborne remaster announcement, probably not going to happen. Probably benched for the foreseeable future. And if it's not going to happen for the 10th anniversary, I don't know when's the right time to do it as far as that's concerned. Any time would be the right time. I mean, that's a license to print money. And that's the thing about the Bloodborne remaster. You could do it whenever, and it's going to print an absolute absurd amount of money. So I guess 2025 is just not the time to print that money. Team Reptile has announced Extreme Trick and Graffiti game Hyperfunk. That game looks great, done by the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk developers at Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. The next piece of DLC, Daima Character Pack 2, will be launching on September 24th. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.